Alright, so I'm in SE2 today, and I'm just going to do a real quick video explaining some things. I'm not going to touch on like the features of SE2 because there's videos galore for that. I'm just going to talk about why I personally won't be playing SE2 for the foreseeable future, and the reasons why I don't think it's quite up to snuff yet. And that's not a hate thing against Keen or anything. This is a very early alpha release. I understand that. Just putting it out there, the reasons why I don't think it's ready for me personally. And to start it off, it's the sound. I don't like the sound. I know a lot, this is kind of, I think most people like the sound. I don't like it. Like, did you see, I jumped off that plate block and it made a huge clang noise. And it's just, it feels wrong. There's just too much noise with moving around. It's loud. We're in space. You shouldn't hear sound anyways, but you do, and it's super loud, and it's just, it takes me out of it, and I just want to mute the game. And actually, I'm gonna do that right now because I would rather play this muted. I'm sorry, that sounds really cruel, but I don't like the sound, and that is my personal thing. And we're going to move on with game muted because that feels better. And you notice I also had the sound music muted already, but that's not a hate on the music in this game. That's just, I do not ever play games with music enabled. Very rarely, I should say. I just usually I'm watching YouTube or something, and I don't like repeating music, looping music, stuff like that. It just triggers my autism, ADHD, whatever you want to call it. But other things that, like things that are really stopping me, one thing is the movement, especially when you're strafe walking. It doesn't feel good. It feels slower than SE1. I don't know if that's just me being nitpicky or if that's actually true, but when strafe moving, it just feels really, really bad. Another issue is the mouse acceleration. There is no way to change the mouse settings, and they are not one-to-one with SE1, and that means it feels super weird, and I don't like it, and I can't cope. that is a very me problem. As soon as little things like that change, I just can't play it. So until that becomes an option, this game's just unplayable to me just because of the mouse movement. I can kind of fix it by knocking my DPI on my mouse up to like 2900 DPI, at which point it kind of feels matches to SE1, but then it's like super too sensitive in menus and stuff, and yeah, it just doesn't work. That leads me into the issue of the fact that you can't rebind any controls, which there's a lot of things I will overlook in an alpha. Not having a rebinding controls menu, that's not something I will forgive, because even if you think the game takes super long to develop and all this, it really doesn't take that long to implement the control rebinding. That's something you could put one staffer on. They could finish it in a couple days, maybe a week tops. Highly doubt that. Probably within like a shift. It should have been done. There's to me there's no defense for that. That should have been in this release. It's a major issue in my books. But yeah, that is what it is. Other things, I don't like how when you go into like your display, this adapter always seems to default to display 3, and then if you try and change it, you have to refresh your game. And because it kind of defaults to the display 3, if you open the game from Steam like on an alternative monitor, yes, it automatically defaults to that monitor. So then it means you have to restart the game several times in order to reconfigure it to your primary monitor. And it's just one of those things that it should be a setting. It should be like saved in a config somewhere. and it shouldn't reset like that. SE1 had this fixed. Every game imaginable has this fix. It should exist in this mode. Again, it's just one of those things, like, it feels like there wasn't, like, the whole thing since they kind of teased this game. They're like, oh, we spent, like, you know, the past month polishing the game, and then it's like, well, where's the polish? That's kind of where I'm at right now. And that seems very mean to say, but it's not. I'm just, ew. It's just little things, like no controls. It just doesn't make sense to me. Another issue I had was VSync mode, none, VSync, and variable refresh rate. Variable refresh rate just limited mine to 60 FPS, did nothing. Even though my monitor is 144 Hertz and G-Sync enabled, and I confirmed those settings were enabled. If I change it to none, I do get over 60 FPS sometimes. Yes, so that's something. I don't know. Also, this game is just painful. I mean, like, I know my computer is not the greatest, and I only have a GTX 1080 right now, but I can't play in anything over medium settings. If I pump it up to high, I don't know if this is gonna make me refresh. Yeah, 17, 18 FPS on high. Like, this is just painful. So, it also, like, this weird, like, dithering. I think it's mostly just the limitation of my card. Feels okay on medium, and it still looks good. I think the game looks great. I'm being very negative in this video. There's a lot of good things that I like about SE2, but everybody's already talked about those, so I'm not going to talk about them. Just know, like, it's not all negative. I don't hate this game by any means. There's just certain things that I'm not fond of. I think that's really my major issues with the game. Other than, you know, like some things where you get massive game stutters whenever the game saves, which doesn't seem to happen in SE1, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. I also did have an issue with unloading worlds, where it would just get stuck on this screen. Let's see. Oh, no, it went back to the menu. So that might have just been a temporary bug. But yeah, like, generally the loading and unloading the game seems to be faster in SE1. So that's kind of cool. But there's still a lot of issues. And of course, it still lacks anything. See, one of the issues is I keep trying to turn my jetpack on. I've swapped my jetpack and inertial dampeners buttons in SE1, and I've had that set for years and years, just to match other games I play. And the fact that I can't remap it in this game has me constantly not being able to use my jetpack properly, because I can't break that muscle memory I have. But yeah, there's a couple other things. I'm not fond of this menu. It feels... I don't like it. But, like, things like that, I totally understand. This is very temporary. I'm hoping that it gets revamped, it gets a little nicer and easier to manage. Not that SE1 was any good. Like, this might even be an improvement over SE1. I'm not 100% sure yet. But considering there's none of the same features in SE2, it's still not... it's hard to compare the two. Obviously, yeah, like, there's a lot of issues for me personally. And because there's no logic blocks, there's no mechanical blocks, I really don't have a reason to play this. Like, I would love to play with this small grid. It looks so cool. But between the mouse acceleration, the control maps, and just general annoyances and bugs trying to get the game to start up and change settings and stuff, it's not worth it to me just to build a ship that I can't do anything with because there's no other features than just building right now. So it's definitely suffering from its early access title, which is to be expected. Also, yeah, there's no doors. This is just a weird one. Doors do not exist, which is just telling how potentially early on in the development of SE2 we are. I think a lot of people thought we were a lot farther along, and even to me at some points I thought we were farther along. But Keen has also kind of been withholding things, it seems. Like they're not releasing certain features they do have already designed, simply because they want to wait for the right vertical slice, which, you know, that's their prerogative. But yeah, couple, like, I know the control mapping thing is something I've been harping on, but it's definitely been an issue because even I just noticed you don't actually get a hotbar when you're in a ship. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I cannot figure out this jetpack. Okay, what? Okay, the fact that the inertial dampeners is just like this haphazard exclamation mark by the speed instead of a proper icon is driving me nuts. Driving me nuts. But yeah, this is kind of a rambly video. Personally, I think this game is too early on for me. There's a lot of missing just standard this makes sense features that they haven't implemented, which to me just says, you know, I'm gonna put this game back into my library. I might even uninstall it because I have a serious lack of solid state drive space, and I could use that 10 gigabytes for something that I'll actually use instead of this. But I will be back probably in VS2, probably, hopefully VS2 or VS 1.5 includes mechanical blocks, because that's really, even if this mode right now had mechanical blocks, I might be able to overlook some of the issues I'm having with the game, just in favor of playing with mechanical blocks. But you know, as it stands, no, I'm good. I'm back to SE1. I'm gonna enjoy the delightfully complete nature of SE1, where everything just works, and you know, it has its limitations, but it's a fully functioning game, and I like fully functioning games. I gotta say, the lighting in SE2, oh, so good. Like, this just looks so good. And I'm not on a good graphics card. I don't have ray tracing, and it still looks great. So, you know, that's amazing. It's just not feature parity, which nobody expected. Don't get me wrong, nobody expected feature parity with SE1 on release day. But personally, I need mechanical blocks, and I need control remapping, and I need stability. And right now, SE2 has none of that. So, again, not a hit piece. I'm really excited for the future. But VS Vertical Slice 1 is not my cup of tea. Those just empty button panels. I thought they might do something. Yeah, it's kind of weird that cockpits don't have hotbars. It's kind of messing with my head. But yeah, this is SE2. If you like SE1, I say continue playing SE1. Come back in Vertical Slice 2, probably. I think Vertical Slice 2 is going to be the point where SE2 is going to actually start being a playable game. and I think that's probably not going to be for another 6 months. And even then, I don't think SE1 is going anywhere for the next 2 to 3 years, I bet. I think we're still going to have major player counts on SE1 for the next 2 years at least, and I don't think it's ever really going to die off. I think we're going to continue to see a lot of players in SE1, and maybe you never know. Maybe SE2 will get so good that it just completely kills off the original game, but I don't think so. Oh my god. Okay. I hate this controls, but that's just because I'm used to I can't fly around. Also, one thing I did notice, you can't place blocks on glass, and that drives me nuts. I want to place blocks on glass, but apparently you can't place blocks on glass. Also, I'm not exactly sure how I'm supposed to get this smaller grid, because like anytime I try and place a smaller grid, it never goes down to the smallest grid. I don't know if I'm just like dumb. Oh, you have to hold shift. Okay, I see. You have to hold shift and scroll, because this game has the most convoluted controls. There is a serious problem with how the controls are changing from SE1. I don't know if there's a good fix to it, but I don't like how they're so different, which makes it really hard for me to ever want to play SE2 concurrently while it's in alpha with SE1, because the conflicting controls actively harm the gameplay of the other after I get used to one game's controls. Like if I get used to, the fact that you can scroll through your hotbar here, and then I go back to SE1, I'm going to try and scroll through my hotbar, I'm not going to be able to. Stuff like that. It's conflicting, and it creates tension, and it doesn't feel good. I think that more effort should be spent to make SE2 play like SE1, at least in the way that it handles the same way, in controls, in mapping, stuff like that, so that people can enjoy the two games concurrently as SE2 develops. Maybe I'm just off base on that one. I don't know. I don't like it. That's just me. I'm autistic. I don't like change. I admit that. Also, I don't like how the game just completely tanks an FPS every time it saves. Like, it only dropped to about 38, but that's because I'm staring into space. But if I was, like, inside this ship somewhere here, then it would be, like, dropped to 12 FPS during a save, which is not something I've ever noticed in SE1. So it seems to be a new engine thing. Also, I have not tested, but I have a feeling since the game locked at 60 FPS that we actually don't have very many Havoc physics engine improvements, but who knows. I'll wait for somebody else to test that, because I really don't want to play this game. It sounds so bad. I don't enjoy it because of the problems I've mentioned. It makes me like go, I'd just rather play SE1, and that's okay. I think the important thing is to remember that it's okay to continue to play SE1, because SE1 is a great game. SE2 is an untested game that has potential to be better than SE1, but right now it is not. It's not even close to SE1. So keep that in mind. If you're new to space engineers in general, and you're looking at the two, like which one should I buy, you should buy SE1. There's no question. Buy SE1. Grab the DLCs if you want them. Maybe wait till they're on sale. You're never going to go wrong with buying SE1. You can go wrong with buying SE2 at this point. In a year, probably going to change. Probably going to be like, yeah, no, get SE2. Is a better engine. It should be a better engine. It's just not there yet, which is understandable. It's a first alpha. It's okay. It's okay to be bad right now. It's okay to be bad right now. But I think we have to be realistic and say you know, this is the bad. They're still good, but there's a lot of bad. And that bad amounts to me going exit. I don't know what else to say. Anyways, this is just my quick overview of SE2 and my opinions with a very short time in the game. I think the building is cool. There's no doubt in that. But this alpha, this is a tech demo. This isn't an alpha. This is a tech demo. Remember that. It's a tech demo. Tech demos don't have proper settings. This game doesn't have proper settings. Alphas have proper settings. At least attempted. Usually they don't work, but they have them there. This game doesn't. So support the game if you want to support Keen, but don't expect a playable game. Expect a tech demo. Anyways, that's all I have to say for now. I've talked way too long.